Alright, what's happening everybody? I'm your man Akeem and welcome to today's Fantasy Football Blog. Here to give you week two's picks and predictions for this week's Fantasy League. It's time for me to give you the players that you should start and bench and some questionable players. Now I'm going to start with the Buffalo-Oakland game. Buffalo Bills has been opening up this season. They have been stepping up. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he has been doing well thus far this season. Yes, it was only 1 week, but I told everybody that he is my sleeper for this year's Fantasy Football League at the quarterback position. And I am not the only one who said this. Merrill Hodge of ESPN admitted that himself. He thinks he's a sleeper for this year's NFL season, and I think so as well. At least I have somebody who has my back in this one, in Merrill Hodge. Thank you for that. So definitely keep an eye out for Ryan Fitzpatrick and see how well he'll perform against the Bills. Now, we all know about Darren McFadden. He had 150 yards last week against Denver. I think he's still going to do well this week against the Bills, so definitely start him. Now, as far for Fred Jackson and C.J. Spiller, Oakland gave up just 38 yards rushing last week against the Broncos. So some people might be concerned about starting Fred Jackson or C.J. Spiller. I think you should still start Jackson if you can, unless you have a better running back. He's still a good, reliable back. I think he can get you with, at least 10 points in this game against the Oakland Raiders. But we will see. I think you should still start Fred Jackson. Next game to look at, Chris Johnson of the Tennessee Titans. They're playing against the Baltimore Ravens. Chris Johnson did terrible last week, just 4 points in fantasy points, and they're playing against a tough Ravens defense. And Chris Johnson is still getting his niche back with the offense for the Titans. And this is a tough situation. Some people think that they should bench Chris Johnson. I do believe that you should bench him if you can. But if you cannot, still start him. He might get you some good points. You never know. He did sign that big deal. Hopefully he will step up this season in a couple of games, maybe starting this game. But if you can bench him and you have a good bench player at running back for Chris Johnson, you should start him over Chris Johnson. But if you cannot start Chris Johnson, I think he can still give you some good valuable points. But we will see. Next game to look at, the Arizona-Washington game. Now this is going to be pretty much of a toss-up. Beanie Wells, I believe that you should still start. But quarterback Rex Grossman, a couple of people has asked me about should they start Grossman this week against the Cardinals, because Cam Newton last week threw for 422 yards. And I don't think that you should start Rex Grossman. It was only 1 game. Yes, it was against the Giants defense, but the Giants defense were beaten up. 6 of their starters were not even playing that game, including defensive end Osi Umenyiora and rookie cornerback Prince Amukamara. They still didn't really have their full defense against the Washington Redskins, and Rex Grossman did have a good game, but I don't think you should start him this week. So I don't think you should start him for that game. Next game to look at, San Diego is going to be playing at New England. Another question that some people have been asking me is who should they start? Ryan Matthews or Mike Tolbert, the running backs for San Diego. Mike Tolbert is the human pinball, that's his nickname, and he's a good goal line back. He had 3 touchdowns last week with just 3 points 3 yardage points in fantasy football, but he had 3 touchdowns. Now, Ryan Matthews, he's a good running back. He had 11 points, but he had no touchdowns. So some people are concerned of who should they start this week. Now, I really believe that you should start Ryan Matthews over Tolbert, only because he has improved as a blocker. Now, I know some people are going to be saying, what does that have to do with fantasy points? That has a lot to do with fantasy points, because for most teams, NFL league, any league, high school, anything, when it comes for a running back, if you want to get on the field, you have to be a good blocker. And that's exactly what Noah Turner said. Coach Noah Turner said that Ryan Matthews has improved as a blocker. And with that being said, he's getting more playing time on the field. And he did produce 11 points in yardage last week against the Minnesota Vikings. And I think with that being said, Ryan Matthews is going to get more playing time. I think you should start him over Mike Tolbert, and I think Ryan Matthews could get in that end zone a couple of times and get you around 15 to 20 points this week, seriously, against the Patriots. Reggie Bush had 15 points against the Patriots last week, and I think Ryan Matthews has the capability of doing that this week, at least 15 points. That's my prediction for him. So I think you should start Ryan Matthews over Tolbert. Next game to look at, Philadelphia is going to be playing at Atlanta. Michael Turner had 10 points last week against the Bears. He had 14 points because he rushed over 100 yards. If you get over 100 yards in most leagues, you get 4 points extra for each 100-yard game. And he had 14 points last week in the NFL Fantasy League. Now, last week, Philadelphia gave up a lot of yardage on the ground. So I think Michael Turner, you should definitely put him in that starting ring. Last week I had him, I told people to bench him, but this week you should start him against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he's going to do well in this game. He had a good game against a good Chicago Bears defense. And the final game you need to look at, St. Louis Rams against the New York Giants. My sleeper this week is Cadillac Williams, the running back for the Rams. Now, Steven Jackson is most likely going to be out with a quad injury, and he's not going to be able to play against the Giants. Now, like I said before, the Giants defense are beaten up. They do not have Oshie Monero. He's doubtful for this game. Also, the other defensive end, Justin Tuck, he's questionable for this game with a strained neck injury. And I also mentioned Prince Amukamara. They have a beat-up defense. A couple of the starters are not even going to be playing in this game, and I think Cadillac Williams is going to do well running the football against the Giants, even though it is at Giant Stadium. He had 91 yards rushing last week against the Philadelphia Eagles and all the acquisitions that they picked up, and he still produced 91 yards, 9.1 points in Fantasy Football League. Now, with Steven Jackson out, Cadillac Williams is the guy who's going to step up, and I think he's going to be the sleeper this week. I think he can get you some good, valuable points in the Fantasy Football League. So you should definitely start Cadillac Williams. Now, I'm going to catch you back on next week, next Friday, give you my predictions for week 3 of the Fantasy Football League, and I'll give you all my predictions and tips for the Fantasy Football League. Thank you for watching today's vlog from Sports News Insider. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.